Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure and an honour really to be here. This film has been shown, when I made it with the idea of an audience in Macedonia and Greece, particularly Greece, because it's such an issue. Can you hear me now? Sorry. And it's not really circulated very much in the United States up until this point, and so it's absolutely fantastic for it to be shown here today, and I hope that that means it will get more shown in the United States, because although the film itself is several years old, the situation between Greece and Macedonia and the relationship, the problems for the children in relation to going back and seeing their houses, let alone being able to live in them again, is something that is a continuing situation that we hope one day will be resolved. So, any questions? And this is George. Do you want to say something?
Well, my name is George Bogdanov. I'm a Macedonian from Bitola, and we know the situation when was after the Second World War, when the Greece has that revolution. And even we've been witness, I was 5 years old, and my wife, when these children, they pass over the border, and they've been crying, and we give the best help from our village to them. And to me, it was the most sad, because I'm a grown person now, and I can say there was similar case like the Jewish people 1940 when they get from Germany, all that disappeared, and today they are all over the world. And it's a sad picture for our nation, and we've been looking for some help to Macedonia can be recognized. In 1992, they was recognized. Today, still, the Greeks authority didn't recognize and didn't respect our children and the people who still living over there. So thank you. Actually, Macedonia and part of Yugoslavia, there was 560 years under Ottoman Emperor. The Ottoman Emperor, they left in 1903. And for 560 years, they've been stable, and they built the mosques. Even in Greece, Macedonia, Bulgaria, that part, and even to Serbia. The emperor was all the way to River Dunja. Even Bosnia and Herzegovina today, there are a lot of Muslims. And that's the reason you can see in a movie, even today, Macedonia is a multinational country. There are Roms, there are Muslims, there are Romanians, and it's like 65% there are Christians.
I visited Macedonia shortly after the breakup of Yugoslavia and Macedonian independence, really just on a holiday. And I heard about this story because there was something on the radio, which was the BBC World Service, about talking about the kidnapping of children in the Second World War in Greece. Because there's been, in Greece as well, there was talk about, I think I mentioned it to some extent in the film, but very slightly, about children being taken away and adopted, kidnapped basically. So there's been this thing in Greece about taking children. And this was about Greek children trying to find their identities. And then from that, somebody said to me, well, in fact, our tragedy is in relation to these Macedonian children, and everybody in Macedonia knows someone who was taken out of Greece in 1948. Absolutely everyone. Everyone I talked to was either one of them or went to school with somebody or knew someone. And it was something that just, in relation to the work that I've been doing in relation to exile, it was something that just immediately I thought, I have to make a film about it. I then went and researched about the Greek Civil War. I don't know if you know very much about it, but when I went to a bookshop, there were like 3 rows of the Spanish Civil War and about 1 book on the Greek Civil War, if that. Hardly anyone knows about it because it was going on during the Second World War. It started in 1943. And so it was not really well known or not really publicised. And then it got caught up at the end because of the whole of the business after the Second World War. So I had to do a lot of research. And then I went to Geneva to the Red Cross archives. And that was where I found the photographs and the documents and found out about what the British were doing at the time and the Americans were doing at the time. So a lot of research. And the actual filming, I think I went to Macedonia twice to film and to Greece once. So maybe it took 3 years. We went to northern Greece. There was just myself and a woman sound recordist. I did the camera, and we just went around and we didn't say what we were doing. Basically, we went to the villages, we talked to people. The person I went with speaks Greek, and we didn't actually say what we were doing at all. And then when we went, the day that the bus went to the border, that was to do with the celebrations of the anniversary in Skopje in 98. They, no, was that 98? Yeah, 98. They were going to a picnic, trying to get to a picnic in Lerin, which is now known as Florina in Greece, because they've changed all the names. And I went with my camera separately. I got to the border and the police told me that I had to stop filming or they'd take my camera away. So they said, unless you have permission in writing, and you have to write to the Greek government, and it takes at least 2 weeks to film. So it's not been a situation that's been very easy. The film has been shown at a film festival in Greece, but I wasn't able to go to the festival. I thought it was very brave of them to show it, actually. I've had a lot of, well, how can I put it, opposition from Greeks in relation to its very controversial subject. And unfortunately, it's now 9 years since the film was released, and really there isn't very much headway in relation to the problems between Greece and Macedonia. So the parents were drafted into, I mean, the reason they were taken out is quite complicated, but at that particular time, all the villages in that part of northern Greece, people were drafted in to either fight or they were starving to death. So this is why the children went out without the parents, because either they were dead already, or they were fighting, or they were wanted for fighting. So by taking the children out, they didn't have to feed them any longer. And also, a lot of the children were taken to these orphanages in Eastern Europe, and some of them were brought back to fight. If they got to be 14 or 15 years old, they were brought back to fight. So very much the children themselves were pawns in this whole situation. So quite probably a lot of the parents were killed.